Ready?
The NFL season is fucking back, and I am so excited. This is season 2 of the Stephie Smalls Show. We have Thursday night football finally tomorrow. We'll talk some best bets, player props, maybe some hot takes. I know my guests here, the two of us don't always have the most, basic takes. That's maybe the nice way to go about it. How are you, Frank? This is Frank Ammirante. How's it going?
I'm doing great. Football season around tomorrow, wrapping up the last fantasy football drafts of the season. It's a great time. And yeah, like you said, we like to go against the grain with our takes a little bit here and there.
A little bit. Is there a guy in fantasy that you haven't been leaving your drafts without?
Yeah, I was going to get to him in the hot takes, but I could talk to him right away. Javonte Williams, just because, I like to wait on my second running back. And Javonte, you could get 7th round or later. And, he's got a lot of receiving upside playing in a Sean Payton offense with Bo Nix, who likes to check it down. He's a bit discounted because he was not great last year, but he was coming off the torn ACL. Now he's fully healthy.
Yeah, I like it. Before we jump in, there's still room in my Survivor contest. That link will be in the description. $20 entry, max 7 entries. I assume everyone knows what Survivor is at this point, or at least that is watching the show. So I don't think I need to explain it. Do you have a Survivor pick this week? You like Cincy, right?
Yeah, I got to just keep it simple. Week 1, Bengals at home, Jacoby Brissett starting. If Drake May was starting, I'd get maybe a little bit more worried just because he's obviously got more upside, May does, than Brissett. But with Brissett starting, let's just keep it simple. Go with Cincinnati at home.
Yeah, I'm so torn. I don't know why. I think it's more just me. I hate when everyone is doing something. Yeah. So it makes me not want to take, that's just the brat in me doesn't want to take Cincy because everyone is on them. But week 1, you really just want to survive. So I don't hate it. Totally get it. Let's get into Thursday Night Football, AFC Championship game rematch here. Kansas City, 3-point favorites at home versus Baltimore. Total is set at 46.5. But I did see before the show, it moved to 47 some places. Any thoughts on the spread or the total here?
For me, this game, I stayed away from the spread in total. Obviously, really close game between two Super Bowl contenders. If I had to pick a side, I would just take Kansas City at home. And I love what the Chiefs did on offense this offseason. Yeah. Even playing without Hollywood Brown, adding Xavier Worthy is great. Full season of, a full workload for Rashee Rice, because remember, it took time for Rice to be fully integrated. So I think Mahomes is going to completely pop off this year. But for this game, I could see it going either way. So I didn't really take the spread. But if I have to pick, I go with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. And I think I lean the under, especially as it continues to sneak up here. I think we all get really excited that week 1 is back. So it's very easy to get over, a little bit over heavy. We know both these defenses were really good last year. Baltimore did lose their DC. Both of them lost a couple of players on both sides of the ball. Nothing super crazy. But yeah, I think I would lean the under. I have yet to take it. But we've also seen, and I guess it's, at this point a little overdone, but Kansas City kind of get off to slower starts. So we'll see, because it's going to be a playoff atmosphere between these two teams.
Yeah, it should be a great game. I do like a couple props, though, if you want me to go.
Let's talk about them. What's the first prop there?
All right. This one is going to sound ugly to the listeners, but listen up. Mecole Hardman. I got it under 10.5 receiving yards. Right now it's 9.5. I still like it just because, let's face it, he has an extremely marginal role in the Chiefs offense, Mecole Hardman does. One of my favorite bets last year was the Chiefs, I think, against these Ravens. Yeah. I had the same bet, Mecole Hardman under, and he played 2 snaps. Now, he's probably going to play more than 2 snaps, Mecole Hardman, but he's barely used. He's barely targeted. He'll probably have 1 catch, and he's got to get 10 or more yards. Give me the under there.
I like it. I don't know. I mean, I know what it is. This feels like a Kelsey game. I know everyone, starts to get nervous. He's getting a little bit older, but, he's been resting all summer long. I like his longest reception to go over 19.5. Look at me, first bet that I give out is obviously a longest reception prop, but minus 110. I feel like I see his receiving yards is really popular. I think I almost prefer the receptions. It just makes me a little bit nervous here. Brown got ruled out. You have Xavier Worthy too, also a popular pick. It is his rookie debut. So I think I lean definitely the Kelce over for his longest reception. And then if I were to take something else, maybe the receptions.
Yeah, I could see, this is like you said, a playoff atmosphere, so they'll need Kelce, the Chiefs will in this game. Because my concern with Kelce coming in this season is, they're just playing for the playoffs, right? They can manage Kelce's workload a little bit, But in this game, like you said, it's against a fellow Super Bowl contender in the Ravens. You could see the Chiefs having to lean on Kelce. But I do have another one, too.
All right, let's hear it. I have a couple more as well.
All right, give me Isaiah Pacheco under his receiving yards. I got Pacheco at under 16.5. It's
now 50. Out a while ago, too.
Yeah.
I saw it a while ago, right?
Yeah, I did. Because I did this right when the Chiefs signed Samaje Perine. And it's just because Perine is going to take away from Pacheco's, targets. Like Perine could play on third downs or on long like third and long, 2-minute drill, take away some targets from Pacheco. And now with Xavier Worthy there, and Mahomes has explicitly said throughout this offseason he wants to get back to firing it downfield, there could be less. He could have a higher average depth of target than he did last year, Mahomes, which was a career low. So I think with Perine there and with fewer checkdowns, I like Pacheco's under receiving yards.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's popular to take the over as well. I don't know. Pacheco, I don't know what it is, but it feels so gross drafting him in fantasy. And I've found myself when he falls to me, I have been taking him, not in my earlier drafts, but the last week and a half. And I don't feel good about it whatsoever. It just feels disgusting.
I feel like a lot of these leagues you're playing with your friends and stuff, that he gets pushed up, Pacheco. Draft of my friends yesterday, he went second round, and that's too high for me. I prefer, mid to late third round for Pacheco.
Yeah,
I like taking the receivers.
By ADP, I'm absolutely I always say don't do that, but I have absolutely been bullied about Pacheco's ADP, and I end up taking him. Panic pick a little bit. I think you assume that he could definitely take an even bigger leap this year, but at the same time, I don't know how guaranteed that is. And 2 Lamar props that I was looking at. Well, my favorite prop for this game is Lamar longest rush over 14.5 yards, minus 109. He, in every match against Kansas City, he's had at least one rush of 19 plus yards. It's Lamar. He's going to run. I think that 14.5 is a pretty low number here for him. I think it's probably interesting. You could also flirt with his rushing yards. I think I prefer the longest rush here. I also like him to go under the 31.5 pass attempts. I know it was at plus 100 this morning when I took it. I think it moved to, where is it now? Minus 114. I just think they are going to run the ball. Now they've got Henry there. This is a team that already is obsessed with running the ball. I think that they're going to do that even more than ever now.
Yeah, I like that. One thing I do like is that, this is going to be a close game, and Lamar Jackson will have to keep his foot on the gas, so to speak. Look at last season, how many games the Ravens were just cruising in the fourth, and they just ran and ran and ran. So they didn't need Lamar to make plays. But in this game, they're going to need Lamar to bring out his best. And I like those props you said. And I do agree that I could see them really trying to establish Derrick Henry on the ground, and even with Lamar on the ground, so that could lead to fewer pass attempts for the Ravens. But I have one more that I didn't lock in yet, but I'm going to take it. And it's Derrick Henry under receiving yards. And this is just because, one, Derrick Henry, of course, is not known as a receiving back. 2, going to a team with Lamar Jackson at quarterback, we know that rushing quarterbacks target their running backs at a way lower rates because, there's design runs, or there's RPO with just a one read and then he throws or runs, or Lamar will look to run rather than check it down. So It's really low. It's at 7.5 for Henry, which is why I didn't do it yet. I was hoping it would maybe go up 1 yard. But I do like it just for the reason that, Henry's skill set isn't really with receiving. And like I said, with Lamar at quarterback, a running quarterback.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make of the Derrick Henry thing. I didn't draft any Henry in redraft. I have him in a couple, a little bit of best ball exposure, but I just want to see kind of how that plays out before I started getting crazy with Henry. And I feel like you can wait and you're kind of getting that same tier of running back there a little bit later on. The last one I'll give out for this, and I think like week one, I like to push like the narratives I've been pushing all summer. I know that Mark Andrews is back, but I am pretty in on Isaiah Likely this year for him to go over the 16.5 receiving yards minus 110. That number was at bet 365. The receptions was too juiced. And I think, I think there's going to be design packages for him. They've talked about it a lot. He might be feeling a little bit more of like this wide receiver type look versus, being, the number one tight end there. So I do like Likely tomorrow as well.
Yeah, I like that a lot because, Isaiah Likely played too well to go back to his previous role that he had when Mark Andrews was healthy last year. You got to think Todd Monken, the Ravens offensive coordinator, will look to, implement Likely more in the offense, more 2 tight end sets, maybe play Likely in the slot, like you said. Yeah, I like that low bar, 16.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, why not? That's so low. That feels very, if it was a little bit higher, maybe not. I also looked at, some of the alts. You can get some nice plus money on some of those if that is your cup of tea. ESPN Bet actually had some decent numbers, which usually I don't find anything over there, but they have some decent ones. Week one player props. Let's get into some of the ones that we've already taken here. What are you looking at?
All right, so I'm taking Anthony Richardson over passing yards. It's moved a lot. I saw it last at 224.5. I got it at 217.5. And the reason, it's an indoor game against the Texans, 2 fast-paced teams. But I got to give a shout out to Derek Carty at Derek Carty on Twitter. He puts out great projections, and his projections, he tweeted this too. He has Richardson going for over 260 yards. So you're getting great value only over even at 224.5. And it's really what I just said, fast-paced game. It's a close game, should be high scoring. I believe the total is at 49. So a really low bar too. So give me Anthony Richardson over on his passing yards.
Are you high on the Colts as a whole this year?
I think I like the Texans and Jaguars over them, but I could see the Colts surprising. And, Shane Steichen, such a good coach. Maybe A.D. Mitchell surpasses expectations as a rookie receiver. Anthony Richardson's got weapons. They're a good offensive line. So I could see it where they take a leap, the Colts. But if I have to predict, I'm on the Texans in that division.
Yeah, I know. It's impossible. I think it's so funny. And I've said it a couple times where everyone's expecting this like sophomore slump, but then also forget that guys like Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson won MVP their second year. So I think there's also an upside that's still there. And it's CJ Stroud. I'm not fully seeing that. I think, was there a lot of times during the season he got lucky, he wasn't turning the ball over. Like there probably will be a little bit more of those hiccups, but I don't think it's going to be this sophomore slump that everyone's like, I think people just want to hate on the Texans because they're going to be fucking good again. So, you know what I mean? I think that I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I think CJ Stroud is going to take a leap in year 2. He almost paced at 5,000 yards as a rookie, and now the Texans added Stephon Diggs. I know a lot of people in fantasy, they steer clear of Stroud because he doesn't run a lot, but with that type of passing upside where he could throw for 5K yards, I'm still in on him. And it's not like Stroud is a complete zero on the ground. He's not like a Jared Goff or Tua. He could run for 200 to 300 yards. In one game, Stroud had 47 rushing yards last year. So it's not a complete zero. So given the offense, the talent that he has there, I think Stroud can really put up some gaudy numbers through the air.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Obviously, I have 2 picks that are from the Vikings-Giants game. Also a shock, I'm sure, to everyone.
I have a pick there, too. Not a prop.
Okay. The Giants secondary is still not great. There's a lot of question marks there, what that's going to look like. Their front four is fantastic. But Justin Jefferson to have 100 plus receiving yards at plus 170 is still a number I like, no matter how you want to cut it. I think it's sitting right now like 80.5. I think I would prefer I'm just going to take the alt line because if he goes over that, I just foresee him going over the 100 as well, averaging 107.4 yards per game last year with the miscellaneous quarterbacks that he had. I think people are very optimistic for Darnold. I think if there is a team that someone like Darnold's could find I'm not going to say like success, because I think it's a little excessive at this point, the way that people are talking about him.
Yeah,
and I'm not being a
seriously.
hater because they're playing the Giants. I just think you need to temper expectations a little bit. And they're going to get the ball to Justin Jefferson. When you have guys like that, talent's going to prevail. Darnold just has to get him the ball.
Yeah, I could definitely see that prop hitting. For me, Jefferson, I've been lower on in fantasy just because of the Darnold factor. I just feel like you're going to see a bit of a downgrade in numbers for Jefferson, but that doesn't mean he can't still put up 1,400, 1,500 yards. It's just that, I liked playing it a little safer with some other receivers there in fantasy. But as for bets, I like the Giants to win this game. You mentioned their front four being great, and I think it could cause problems for Sam Darnold, force him into turnovers. I think Malik Neighbors is going to hit the ground running on his NFL career and have a big NFL debut, get loose in that Vikings secondary, which, PFF.com has rankings every offseason, positional groups. They got the Vikings pass rush in the bottom 5 and the secondary in the bottom 5. Bad combination. I think Malik Neighbors gets loose in this game. Giants win.
Yeah, I am not going to get there. Not going to get there yet. I'll believe it when I see it. I think, you mentioning the secondary too. The Vikings secondary is not, listen, there's like one household name on that secondary. The Giants need to air the ball out, and now that Saquon isn't there, they need to just modernize this offense. Dable is calling the plays now, whether he was doing that last year or not. He has officially come out and finally flirted around with, he's just been kind of avoiding it all last season. Neighbors to go over the 21.5 longest reception, minus 115 is probably the way I'm going to play Neighbors. I am superstitious, so that I'm going to probably keep it there. I think that you need to give Daniel Jones the confidence right out of the gates. I don't care. Throw the ball nonstop. I want to see them airing it out as much as possible. I'm going to look at sacks in this game. Whether that's, I don't know. I think I saw Kayvon was over a quarter, was plus 125. I think any of those guys I'm probably fine with. Dexter Lawrence might be the direction that I end up going, but I think the sack props there are very interesting, because I think this is when you're finally going to see, what bringing in Burns, what that does, what having the new DC does. So like that. What other props are you looking at?
Another prop that I like is on the Sunday night football game. I'm going to take Kyren Williams under his rushing yards. I got it at 62.5. I saw that it got as low as 57.5 for Kyren Williams rushing yards on DraftKings. Not just because, before I even get to the punt return stuff, because I know I talked a lot about that on Twitter, but it just starts with the Lions' run defense. It's one of the best in the NFL, and I think the Lions, I think they're going to play with a lead in this game. The Rams are dealing with issues on their offensive line. I think the spread's a little bit low at 3.5. I think Detroit wins. So, Stafford will have to pass a little more. And let's face it, as much as I love what Kyren Williams did last year, but we're not fully certain about how much he had 90% of the work last year. What's it going to look like this year? Is it going to be 80? Is it going to be 70? Is it going to be 60? We don't totally know yet. So you add that factor with the tough run defense that the Lions have. Blake Corum could sprinkle in a little bit, and that's why I like the under here at under 62.5 for Kyren.
Yeah, I just feel like we don't fully know what's going to come out of that backfield this year, and that they I don't think I drafted any Williams this year. Another backfield I didn't was Cincy. I just don't want a headache week to week. I understand that there's probably upside, but I'm not going to try to figure it out. I'm just going to take something a little bit more certain and straightforward than that. Speaking of running backs, I'm pretty sure you don't like this player as much as I do, but I'm back on the Najee train here. I like Najee anytime touchdown plus 200. It's like plus 165 in a lot of places. That's a really good number for Najee. He's the goal line back. You look at what he did the first 3 seasons. Touchdown wise, was still getting into the end zone, 10 touchdowns, 10, 8. It's Arthur Smith too. So I like the plus 200 as far as Najee goes.
Yeah, I like that. Even with Jaylen Warren being banged up, even though he's back, Warren is, you got to think like Najee will get more of the work. Hopefully, Cordell Patterson doesn't
Oh my
take one of
God.
those.
I
That
can
would be
just see
brutal.
it now. I know. It's gonna be I'm gonna be so mad. It's gonna be awful. And I ended up having a lot of George Pickens this year. And I feel like that's either gonna be great or it's gonna bite me in the ass really, really early on.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Obviously he's got a wide open lane to get tons of targets,
Right.
Pickens, with that receiver room they have, and
Yeah.
he's got all the talent. So I'm kind of neutral on him, but I could see the situation where Pickens goes off.
Yeah. Any other props that you're looking at?
Yeah, another one. It goes back to what I was saying with the under on Derrick Henry. Is the under on Saquon Barkley receiving yards. I think got it at
Oh,
like
I should have
16
thought
and a
about
half.
that. Oh.
It just, I know that people say Kellen Moore, Eagles' new offensive coordinator, they're going to, start to throw to the running back more, but I'll believe it when I see it. DeAndre Swift went to the Eagles last year as one of the best receiving running backs in the NFL, and they barely threw the ball to him. It just goes back. Rushing quarterbacks, throw to running backs at way lower rates, and I'm just going to play the under on Barkley and see how it goes and adjust from there, but give me the under.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I'll mention these quick. Also, I want to figure out, I haven't decided how, but I will be playing something as far as the Houston Texans receivers go. I'll give that out on Friday, or I have a show tomorrow as well. Like Stephon Diggs unders probably pique my interest, maybe a Nico Collins longest reception. I know everyone's not really sure what's going on, but Jahmyr Gibbs' longest rush over 14 and a half, like that was hitting every single week last week. So I don't hate that. And then Aaron Jones, back to that Giants game, a guy that I think is kind of, people are scared off because he wasn't healthy and you didn't get the production out of him until the end of the season there. But for him to go over the 13 and a half receiving yards minus 114, there's going to be a lot of checkdowns going on from Darnold. You don't have Hawkinson. I just foresee Aaron Jones being more involved than people realize. They put down, Chandler is going to be returning kicks. So I think that he's in a situation with a great coach that's going to set him up for success. So I'm very much in on Aaron Jones this year.
Yeah, I could see it. Aaron Jones just went off down the stretch last year, and they could lean on him, like you said, helping out Darnold. Aaron Jones could be a safety valve underneath too on these, check downs. So I like it.
Yeah. There's tons of people in the chat right now. Hit subscribe and like this video if you are in the chat. Let's get into some of your hot takes for the 2024 season. What do you got for me?
All right. So first one, a fantasy football hot take. Cooper Kupp outscores Puka Nacua.
I like it.
Originally I was on Team Puka here, but as I started to, read the signs in the offseason, I leaned towards Kupp. Cooper Kupp played injured last year, came into the season with a hamstring injury, missing the first 4 games. Then, he had 2 big games over 100 yards right when he returned. Then he got banged up. He just wasn't fully healthy. Reports in Rams camp that he's fully healthy now. He was balling out, whereas Puka Nacua missed some time in camp with the knee issue. He's back, but I could see, maybe a slow start and Kupp reestablishing himself as the clear receiver 1 for the Rams this year. And I think you're going to get another huge season from Kupp. Every time Kupp's been healthy with Matthew Stafford, he's produced at an extremely high level. So I'm going to say Kupp outscores Puka and finishes at least top 10 receiver in fantasy.
I love it. Dalton Kincaid's going to finish. I mean, he's my tight end 1 this year. I think people really want Keon Coleman to be the real deal, which is fine. But I think Kincaid's going to be the guy that takes everything over there. I don't know. People really like Shakir, and I, for some reason, just can't get there. He does nothing for me for some reason.
Same.
And I feel like I should like him, but I don't. I don't. I did not draft a lot of him. He very well could end up having a bigger role than I realized, but I think Dalton Kincaid is the guy there.
Yeah, Shakir doesn't strike me as the type of receiver that you could rely on at a consistent production. He feels like a boomer bust best ball type. Hope he gets loose downfield. He's not like a huge target earner, Shakir, whereas Kincaid could definitely be the top target on the Bills.
Yeah. What's another hot take before I start wrapping up and letting you get out of here?
All right, another hot take. I mentioned Javonte Williams earlier. I'll say he finishes as a top 15 running back in fantasy.
I
Like I
like
said,
it.
Javonte is fully healthy now, another year removed off the torn ACL. Bo Nix checks it down at a really high rate. So you got a running back who's projected for over 200 carries as the lead in this committee. I know Jaleel McLaughlin's there too, but he's more of a change of pace. So Javonte is going to get targets. He has red zone carries. Audric Estime, the rookie, could take time before he has a role. And the Broncos, I think, with Sean Payton having a rookie quarterback that he feels really fits his scheme, maybe the Broncos offense could be a little bit better than everyone's thinking just because now Payton has his guy. Not to say it's going to be a good offense, but just
I
not
know.
completely putrid. So I could see, Javonte Williams getting enough catches and enough carries to really pay off later in fantasy drafts.
I like it. Yeah, he's someone I've definitely been gravitating towards. Maybe wasn't the biggest fan of him, but I think he is set up for success this year. I mean, this is a hot take, but I think we see Sam Howell and Spencer Rattler more than 3 games each this year.
Ooh.
I really
Ooh.
do. I think that ends up happening. We don't wish injury on anyone, obviously, but yeah, I think at some point this season, maybe towards the end, we see 3 games out of both of them.
Yeah, the Seahawks offensive line has its issues, so that could force that to happen. I could see the Saints bottoming out totally this year. I think.
First
I think.
fired.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that. I saw
fired 100%, and then they're just gonna beeline it to the draft.
I saw you saying that. I love that. First coach fired, Dennis Allen is like,
Dennis Allen, first coach fired. They're just gonna put their eyes set on the draft, throw Rattler in there, and just go in another direction. That O-line is not very good.
Yeah, exactly.
Dennis Allen and Derek Carr is not that's that. Just that combination makes me sick a little bit. So I'm kind of in on the Saints, going down instead of up.
Yeah, that's why I was concerned a bit with Chris Olave. I love the player, but if he's in a dumpster fire of an offense, it's tough
hard.
to take him. And
And I'm scared. Drake London too, like the two of them, whenever I get to them, I'm like so nervous to hit draft. I don't know why. Well, I know why, but
I get it. Like London hasn't done nearly enough to be like if you just look at his stats, like why is he going that high? With Kirk Cousins and with much better coaching, I think London can really break out.
Yeah, absolutely. Any last hot take you want to throw out here before I let you tell everyone where they can find you and get you out of here?
Yeah, sure. So last hot take. Blake Corum is a league winner in fantasy football.
Right.
You could get him round 9 or later. I know Kyren Williams did great. I love what Kyren Williams did. But the fact is, Sean McVay has kind of a loose trigger with switching his starting running back. They took Corum in the 3rd round. Corum's a really good prospect. I'm not even going to mention the returning part because even without Kyren returning punts, Corum is the best handcuff you could draft in fantasy football. Like if Kyren goes down, Corum would step right into Kyren's role. So Corum doesn't even need to really overtake Kyren as a starter because Kyren has dealt with injuries throughout his career. So stashing Corum on your bench is a good move, and hoping maybe he gets some action and he could really elevate your fantasy football team that way.
Yeah, he's one of those I've been taking in those later rounds. There's quite a few that kind of fall into that range. You got Bucky Irving, like some of those guys just throwing them and stashing them for later could very easily pay off in the long run. What content do you have this week, and where can the people find you?
Well, you can find all my content at thegameday.com. I have week 1 rankings. If you're still drafting, I still have the rankings there as well. I have a start and sit column, bets. We got props. We got sleepers for the week, low-key guys that you could start. Check in on that at the game day. Look at my Twitter at Ammirante TFJ, always putting content there. And, if you have any start and sit questions, hit me up. We're also going to have the spaces, Sunday morning with Scott Engel and Sam Wagman. And we like to answer the questions there. I will be at, I believe, 10 a.m. Eastern. So you could check us out on Sunday there too.
Before I let you go, Washington Commanders O-line, as a Commanders fan, are you concerned?
Yeah, definitely. I think I saw some optimism from Commanders fans about the Commanders O-line. I'm definitely concerned. I feel like, it could improve, but it will take time. There's a lot of new pieces. They got to gel. there's no way you can rank them like anywhere other than bottom third right now. They until they get going or they show you more.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely
I
concerned.
think Commanders fans, like as a Giants fan, I obviously you shut my mouth, but like as a like Commanders fans are very excited about like the optimism and like changing ownership and Jaden Daniels, and he looks great, and that's all very exciting. But that O line is concerning. Like it's
You
not
might see a lot of
something.
screens because
Yeah, I
just to
don't
protect
know.
Daniels. I mean, if Daniels shows flashes and the Commanders finish 7-10, 8-9, I'm cool with that. Like, I
Yeah.
think we got to temper expectations a little bit.
The odds for Tampa to get a sack
Yeah, that was
are
funny.
insane. And they have the longest, literally shortest odds I've seen
Yeah, that was
across the
crazy.
board. And I'm like, I felt justified though, because Commanders fans are very angry when I talk about it and the hiring of Bobby Johnson and what that looks like on the Giants. I think you guys have more talent than we had at that point, but yeah, very funny. I'm glad Vegas agrees with me. I felt better seeing that there. But I will let you get out of here. I appreciate your time, and we'll obviously get you on soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and let's enjoy the season. Go
Yes,
Giants in
let's
week
go.
1.
See ya.
Take care.
And we'll get producer Ryan. How's it
Hey,
going? What's up with
those were some
that?
spicy takes.
There was. I feel like they weren't even that
Spicy.
spicy.
I like the Blake Corum prediction too because
Yeah.
I did stash him on one of my
Yeah.
in one of my leagues and felt very smart about it as
Yeah.
immediately upon doing it after hearing the Kyron Williams news that he's going to be punt returning.
Yeah. And the thing is too, you just have to be so patient about like not dropping those guys. Like it's
Yeah.
so hard the first couple weeks not to drop like some of those
Yeah, to go
guys.
through like
You
the
have to be
shiny new
careful.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. You want to do some questions and then we'll get out of here. Before we do that, I just want to announce the new show schedule. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Mondays and Wednesdays are going to be 5 p. Eastern. Fridays are going to be more happy hour vibes at 3 p.m. Eastern.
3 p.m. Eastern.
Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. That's what we agreed on, didn't we, Ryan?
I think that's what we agreed on. Yeah.
So too. I'm pretty sure. All right. What questions were there? And then we'll get out of here.
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Questions.
No, you're good.
Here we go.
Take your time.
David, from @D_Lang1. Who are your top 3 breakout candidates for this season? He didn't say fantasy. It could just be anything.
Yeah, here's my thing. I fucking hate the word like breakout, sleeper, like, because I think that means something different to a lot of people. So the first 2, and I admittedly did not like sit here and think about it for a very long time, but the first 2 names that came to my mind were Jake Ferguson for the Dallas Cowboys. I think, you have CD there. I don't know what the fuck their running back room is. It's just not something that's enticing at all. Their wide receiver depth is not great. You saw him show some like great flashes. I think, especially in fantasy, like he's the last that I would take in like kind of that tier before I start fading tight end entirely. I love him this year. If he falls to me, I've been taking him. If I haven't taken, someone ahead of him, like a Kincaid, like a Laporta. But I think Jake Ferguson has a real shot. And I think Wan'Dale Robinson, look at me being a homer here, but I think there's an opportunity for Wan'Dale. You hear all CeeDee Lamb, all these players giving him so much credit for his talent. And I think they can find really creative ways to use him, especially the way, the running back room is going to be interesting the way it plays out. I think they're going to get creative with Wan'Dale.
Okay. Jake Ferguson and Wan'Dale, those are your top 2?
I mean, they're not my top 2. I just don't. I mean, I'd have to sit here and think about it. They're the first 2 I thought of. We're not going to, if I put a label on something, it's going to end up on Twitter and I'm going to get dragged for it.
Yeah.
So those are the first 2 that came to my mind today.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Jeremy Van Grove @JGrove. What interception and longest reception props are we looking at?
I'm going to save the interception props for the Friday show. I gave out the Neighbors one. Dontavian Wicks, I'm back on. His line was 15.5. Kelsey's on Monday. And then trying to figure out what I want to do with one of Will Levis's weapons. I didn't see lines out for their wide receivers yet. I don't even know what the status is of some of them, like if what is going on over there health wise. And then there'll be something from the Houston Texans, but I will post them once I know.
Got it.
I finalize it.
And then your final one from Jeremy Casperson. How annoying will Bears (-4) fans be after beating Tennessee?
I mean, can it get like much worse than it already is? I don't know. Like they're very excited. I'm very happy for them. You know, it's an exciting thing to have, you know, the top guy come in, especially on a team that, I mean, it's a good roster. You could say whatever it just is a good roster. He's stepping into a great situation. I don't like the -4. Feel free to take it if you want to put your trust in a rookie quarterback. I get that he's a different breed, but I think we've seen how that historically goes. So they're going to be fucking annoying, and they'll probably be annoying all season long. They're already annoying. Yes, I see Scrim Daddy saying it. Like, it's a lot. I'm happy for them. They deserve it. They've had a lot of really shitty football that they've had to watch. So congratulations. Enjoy not being the shitbag of the entire league anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
I don't know if you could sum it up much better than that.
Yeah, I'm proud of you guys. I'm happy that you guys are not gonna just absolutely suck. It's fair.
Perfect. That's all the questions.
Yeah. All right, cool. We will be back Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll get into the weekend, more prop bets, finalize some of those interception props, and be sure to join the Survivor. I also have a pick'em contest. I'll make sure that those are in the description. And I'm so happy to be back. I feel so alive. I've just been nicer all week. Yeah, things are good right now because football's back.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thanks.
All right. See you guys.
See you on Friday.
Watch it,
make it, break it, break it.